Hello, everybody, and yeah, very excited this week. Blue Ice Queen is back, and very excited. We have two of our very friendly and well-known companies in here. One is a boy IP, one is boy brewers and teams, and together we will share about behind the branding strategy, and also could like to share about the IP development behind the story as well. So it's very excited. So before we start, we could love to jump on the community news. I think everybody already know what's the biggest news for the whole BAYC community. And can anybody share?
3D models.
3D model. Well, I think it's definitely the biggest salary for the happy birthday. So yeah, and I could love to share this video, but I think they don't let me allow to have a voice. So if anybody could love to see the full video about the salary, the happy birthday, and you could just go to the BOA Institute and you will see the video. It's a lot of memorable moment. It's amazing. Yeah. And definitely see everyone our friendly face in there too. I remember that game. Oh my god.
Yeah, they
It's a lot
killed
of
it.
they do very well the job. Okay, I love the gala dance. That's like something I miss about the first year clubhouse. I wish I'm in there.
You
Think
you
about
mean
it.
the first year Ape Fest or
First year, yeah, AFAS. First year
Ape Fest?
AFAS. My bad, yeah. I only in the second year AFAS.
Yeah, same. And then we both missed Hong Kong, so you know.
We're there in spirit.
Yeah.
Our energy's there.
Gene and I were there
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, and so we start the today committee news and oops. So first, of course, is our AFAS is still going on, and anybody's planning to the AFAS?
Planning on going? I hope so. I mean, still very dependent on my wife, but that's the plan so far.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just need a 1 second to put the live screen, and how about each of you to introduce yourself first and give me a little time to put all the screen together.
Yeah,
Sounds
Peter, you
good.
Gene,
want to
go for it.
Go
Gene,
for
you
it.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Gene. BAYC 6717. Sometimes also go by Nikki Nichols, which is my ape's name. And yeah, I've been here since the beginning. May 1st is when I got my ape, and kind of came in for NFTs and kind of just the weirdness of it all and the mystery, and have stayed because of the community and obviously IP building now, and seeing where we can kind of collectively take this IP, and that's kind of where I've been focused mostly. Figuring out, I've got, I guess, a little consultancy here, helping MBA brands do their thing. So that's why I got involved with Peter.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's most passionate about what we're doing, so that's pretty cool.
Love it.
Yeah, my name is Peter. Founded Bored Brewing a while ago. I've got a kind of a tech startup background and stumbled into NFTs and crypto and stuff, and joined BAYC bright and early, and have been just living the life ever since. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
How about Jason?
I'm Jason, NFT hoarder. Not fortunate enough to have joined or minted, but did stumble into NFTs, kind of flipping them, and then as I co-hosted and helped sponsor some of the NFT meetups, after kind of meeting the community, and I think just kind of found a home within the apes, and similar, really kind of like discovered IP and the desire for apes to want to build with IP. So started that journey to enable people to do that. A little under 2 years ago, pre-MBA, and it's it's been a fun journey, kind of creating some brands and kind of a broader strategy and structure that we're kind of leaning into now.
Awesome. And go back to today's topic. So today we will be having a Boy IP and the Boy Brewers strategies and a behind story to share. Before that, we definitely want to go through to a couple committee news. As we just share the happy birthday for the BAYC committee, but also don't forget to use your own ways, own image to in the Boy Ain't No Cup to create your own PFP, and let's celebrate together and use your own PFP just up. And also, I do want to share about how impressed yesterday in the boy meeting hear about Barons and Jeff like mentioned about each of us committee member and also mentioned about the boy in and boy bunch, how grateful to feel like sometimes the committee just know you more than yourself. And also I'm so excited for this week because I just got featured from BAYC councils, and I just feel like nothing more than I'm grateful than this moment. And I'm sure everybody have your own stuff too. And how about Jim and Peters and Jason, did you enjoy the meeting as well? Oh, I'm sure Blue Icy Queen have something want to share too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. I couldn't figure out how to update, or I guess how to get connected to the Discord because my mobile app wasn't updated. So finally, 15 minutes in, had to figure that out, and then I had another meeting like 15 minutes after that. So I barely got to listen to it, but luckily Vicky had recorded the whole thing, and so I got to listen back, and that was great.
Awesome. And how about Peters and Jason?
Yeah, I got to join. I'll say that Baron, he's just got that natural ability to host. So not that other kind of these types of meetings haven't gone as well, but he fills the space really well. It's impressive. Like you never feel like there's a weird gap between when someone says something. He knows when to like chime in and jump in. And so it just like it's a really good mix to have him in there and kind of emceeing, and then all the stories were good. I thought it was a really good approach to have everyone talk about some good memories that they've had that have been special to them about being in the club. And so I jumped up. I usually avoid talking or doing things on socials, but I jumped up and had something to share, which was nice, and got to hear everyone else. And so it was a good event. It was really fun. Yeah. So I liked it.
Yeah, same. And I think I also fortunate to jump up, and great to hear the stories. I agree with Peter, like Baron just doing what he does best. And I think don't really get a chance to hear Garga talk all that often. But I think that was definitely one where love kind of hearing from him on him stepping back in and what's going on in his plan. And I think that's just part of kind of bringing the vibes back and focusing back on the community. So love to see how this is all kind of tying together, and him kind of jumping in the space and sharing that.
Power to Barons. And how about Blue Ice Queen?
Yeah, my favorite part about the board meeting was everyone's favorite memories. Everyone has something different that they like to share, and it's so unique, and it just shows that we have community here since day one, and we're still going strong. And also can agree, I love when Garga is on the mic. He has so much to offer, and it's just his storytelling is absolutely amazing. And happy birthday to his wife yesterday in the club. Hey, man, it's like the trifecta.
Awesome. Talk about Gaga. He do have something to share. It's about the 3D models, and I wonder what's going on, and I'm very excited for the BOS 3D models.
Yeah, I saw the board memes this morning made a joke about how they didn't come last night, and I love that they're kind of poking fun at their own community. That's really on cue with their own brand with what we should be doing is having a little more fun. He coming later night, and then they said they had a small issue with Delegate, and so they pushed it. But I thought that was funny this morning when I saw it come up. So
I would love the way how they share for the community. It's much more friendly way. I definitely see the big change this year, especially after Gaga back to the CEO position. This is definitely some quite cool the community, but it's just like more human being. You can feel like been long time what we're waiting for, and just like, yeah, fuck it, just do it, or yeah, fuck it, we fuck it up, and like just everything's much more transformed, but at the same time just look like a fan check in here. This is so awesome. So yeah, let's jump into the next part. Could love to share about a little bit more today topic. Boy Builders company, I think is definitely one of the OG IP, and I'm glad to know both of you. I think since from the beginning, and I've been quite impressed how the Boy Builders journey. And today we do love to have a deep dive. And yeah, Jason or Cream, like who want to ask the question first? And Jason, you want to ask?
Yeah, I can jump in. Just what inspired you to incorporate kind of the IP into the beverages and create your brand?
Yeah. So I own a craft and nacho restaurant, which was kind of a side passion project that I did during my last tech startup. So I have this the space, a restaurant that we have people coming in, and I was trying to think of ways. I think it was Board Jobs that came out and said, like get your ape a job, and it triggered my thought process around, well, like what job would I like to give it, or how do I apply for this job, and how's it get paid, and what does it do, and it just really started the wheel spinning on a unique thing that BOIC did, and kind of, in my opinion, what was part of the disruption was that we own this IP. We have the ability to tell a story with these characters and leverage the IP to do things. And so racking my brain about how I could leverage that. And so I didn't know what job I wanted to give my ape. And we did a mock-up of a hot sauce label because it's craft nachos. You put hot sauce on it. And we had been doing a white label hot sauce in the restaurant that was really good. And so it leaned more towards one of my mutants. And I was like, it just doesn't really fit with Bishop, the sad sailor. Why is a sad sailor drinking hot sauce unless he just is that unhappy that he wants to burn his mouth off every day? It just didn't fit. It didn't align. And so, but I got good feedback. I was in New York for the second Ape Fest, and I had just, shown some of the hot sauce, and I met with somebody, and he had a mutant that looks like it's at a birthday party. And it's one of the coolest mutants I've ever seen. And we were sitting there, and we were actually sitting in the bar that they did the TV show about with the apes. And I was like, your mutant looks like it's at a birthday party. And I have got a buddy who owns a brewery, and he's got a beer called Cake Face. And I said, this mutant and this beer, if he had a beer, it would be called Cake Face, and it would be amazing. And so I was like, do you mind if I do a concept of your mutant on a beer? And so we did the Cake Face beer. And it's a really interesting beer. It tastes kind of like birthday cake, but not really, but it's actually delicious. It sounds terrible, but it's good. And so that was the concept that we did around this Cake Face beer. And I kind of forget that that's the origin, actually. And so it was meeting an amazing human with an awesome mutant in New York for Ape Fest. And so then we did the Sad Sailor Sour for Bishop. And then I was like, Bishop would be the brewmaster of this brewery. And we can, have an origin story for him, which we've all fleshed out. And, we can kind of get this going. And so wheels started turning, and I met some amazing people at Ape Fest, the four nights on the rooftop there in the financial district. And I was like, what? I've met some of the nicest people, the best people that I've met in business in general or in life at these NFT events. And I'm just going to ask them if, hey, do you want to be a part of what I call the Founders 50, which is the founding, it doesn't stand for founding of the company, it's the founding IP contributors. And so we have 50 now people who are our founding IP contributors, and they're the 50 licensed assets. We have more than that license because some people licensed more than one. And we have a couple CryptoPunks, and we have we're doing quirkies as an energy drink. And so it just snowballed there, where we ended up with these amazing assets, and we started doing concepts. And I would ask people, what kind of story would you like? And the one on the left there that you're showing, I mean, that's Poppy, who's a very strong brand in our space and a very, energetic. And he started 5 good vibes chats because he wanted everyone that was positive and awesome in our community to have a place to chat. But that one's not actually, he didn't make it about himself. That story is about his dad, and his dad who's passed. And so it's in honor of his dad, and it's Jazz's good vibes. And he bought that because it reminded him of his dad, the tie-dye t-shirt. And so we get to tell that story in a way, in a product that's, he's like, I love drinking high noons. Can we do a seltzer? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. And he actually introduced me to Bullish Beck, which is Bullish Bubbly, and Misogi, which is Mike, Maui Wowie there. And so, we ended up with a line of seltzers. And so these things just kind of take on a life of their own when you get to talk to people and be creative and say, what does your Tony the Tiger look like on the cereal box? And what do you want to do with these characters? And so we have seltzers now shipping to 46 states in the US. We're working on figuring out why a couple of states we can't do it yet, but we'll get those. And those seltzers are available now. And so it's kind of crazy to think that it came from just like in a bar talking about hot sauce and a cake face beer. But that's my very long answer about what inspired to incorporate the intellectual property into beverages and create an debate brand and work in the industry. And the other reason, going back to the restaurant, is we had a place to test this on quote unquote normies. We had a place where we could, hand someone who doesn't understand anything about Web3 a drink with an ape on it or an NFT and say, what do you think? And I'm not a creeper, but I watch people in the restaurant. I see them look at the can and read the story, and they have no idea. And sometimes I'll go over and I'll be like, so what do you think? Do you think it's weird? They're like, oh, I love that. I read a story about this character, and I think it looks great and it tastes great. And so we've had a great place to test and iterate on product, which worked out really well, because it's hard to do that in this space where you're like, I either have to hype something up and FOMO it, or, overpromise and underdeliver. And so we have the ability to, put it in people's hands. You can see the person in the background is like looking at that label, and they're really curious about what's going on. And so that's kind of the goal, and it's worked out really well. So that's my long-winded answer for that. And I apologize, I have to leave in 7 minutes for a very important meeting, but I'll ramble now so that Gene can take over after. But
can I talk about what you're meeting about?
No. NDAs all around.
All right, fine.
Yeah. So.
Well, Peter, really love the storytelling with the cans and the different stories. I feel like that's also very interesting. Like, if they've never seen the monkey JPEGs before, like, what does this mean? Who's the Bored Apes? So really cool with the storytelling. But yeah, let's lead into the next question. And can you share a little bit more from your team on what the process is from the customization, from the start to the finish? Because you did dabble a bit about the different tastes, and how did you get from the design to the taste to the shells?
Yeah, it's super collaborative in the sense that we ask people, we do want people to like their own drink. But also we want to make sure that we're not just making 50 lagers if everyone just is a lager drinker kind of thing. Luckily, there hasn't been very much overlap, but we get to come in and say, what would your first 2 or 3 kind of options be for what you'd love to see, and how it might align with your brand as you built out your own character. And then we say, do you have a story in mind? Do you have anything? Can we just pull from your history? Is your character based on you? Is it a fictional PFP? Like, have you given it a name, or is it, like my ape currently is my name, where Bishop was a character that I created with my other ape. And so we find out where that inspiration lives, and then we work with them on, colors and concept and recipe. And the Mega Mutant, for example, he's like double hopped IPA, and we're like, okay, easy, we know what we're doing now. It's a double hopped IPA, and he's out in California, and that's more of a style out there, and it just worked really well also with the intensity of the PFP that he has. And so then we go into concept creation, we do mock-ups, and we go back and forth. And my kind of standard quote that I send people is, it's unlimited in revisions until you're absolutely happy with it. It's not a consultancy working on you. It's how you get it. We change it as many times until you love it. And so that's the approach we take. Obviously, when crafting the recipes, we do the brewmaster formulation, we do the recipe formulation, and then we will tweak recipes after they're done if we need to. So far, we haven't had to, which has been a bit of the roll of the dice luck, I think. Actually, I would like to change mine. I don't care for my seltzer as much. I was in New York hanging out with all these cool people at these events. You can see the pictures there. We were at ODNYC shotgunning a seltzer with Bryce Hall, which is kind of crazy. And mine is my least favorite. And so we'll adjust that recipe a little bit for the next go around. Not because I need it to be better than other people's. I just don't want people to be holding my drink and be like, oh, this is kind of, it's a pink lemonade that's a bit mild. And some people loved it. But I would say we aim for the majority of people to pick something up and love it. So that's the process for concept and recipe formulation creation. And we just really want it to be collaborative and fun and creative. And it's a good time. So.
And Peter, you also taste them after, I guess, do the samples, right? And if it's not to your liking, you'll want to sort of adjust it, right?
The reason I have a blank can from me is I'm testing an energy drink right now, a formula, and I'll be doing another bench test tomorrow where I'll get a bunch more of these cans, we do our own internal formulation, and it's I like to say very thoughtful process on what we do. But I also understand that, what's in the can is super important to me. But sometimes it's less important than branding and social and stuff and storytelling. So we try and hit a balance of all those things. We're trying to focus on all of those at the same time without just I don't want to be walking around like, why is no one buying our seltzers? They're the best seltzers in the market. They taste the best. And it's like, well, because you're not marketing like Happy Dad. They're crushing it and they're doing this. So we have to be aware of that nuance when we go to market. So we try and balance that for sure.
Well, before you leave, I do have I do want you to showcase your jacket because we're jumping to the next topic about what Boy Brother not just doing the drinks, and also I know it's doing a lot of fashion. And I'm going to give you a bigger screen, so will you mind to show your jacket because it's just perfect.
1 second. I'll grab. Yeah, I'll take this.
You take it. Yeah. Awesome. Whoa!
The inside is the best.
This. This is why you need to do the live stream.
Love it.
In each of the
sample,
50.
So it's got a rip button.
Love it.
And this is Clubhouse Archives.
What?
Oh, this is a sample, so it doesn't have their logo in it. But Clubhouse Archives did all 50 jackets for us, and they're absolutely beautiful. So.
And I think you told me the 50 each have their own unique ape in it, right?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
and a
cool.
patch on the shoulder as well.
Patch,
that's Velcro. This one doesn't have my Velcro patch because I actually took it off to put it in. But you could swap your PFP if you're going to a different event, like the World of Women event. You could put your World of Women on there, and then internally you've got this ability to kind of customize your jacket in real time. And
that's awesome.
wear it for different events. So, but I'm gonna jump off.
You gotta run.
Gene, don't mess it up. Do a good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks for having me. I'll jump back on in half an hour if I can.
So everyone had to prepare next time. Go to our live screen. Have to prepare the muscle. So thank you so much, Peter. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm very happy to have you. So and let's jump to Jim. And Jim, I know you are the one actually walking a lot. Different fashion merchandise. You're a totally fashion guy too, because thank you for the hat. I was wearing your orange hat, going around the MATMIC when everyone was asking me hey, how you get this hat? I say, no, I'm not going to tell you. Tell you that's mine.
It's okay.
I'm always worried almost worried that people like will try to like get my head and say,
I'm gonna steal your hat. That's how I'm
no,
gonna
you're not.
get a hat, Apple.
You're not going to. I'm gonna.
The
I'm
orange
gonna
beanie has
stretch it
been
out.
stolen, actually.
Don't do that. Yeah, and Peter is like, will you talk about a little bit more what's your role inside Boy Buller's company? I think a lot of people like know you working a lot the project inside the Boy Buller, but I think that would be better if you can share with us what exactly you're working on inside Boy Buller.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I help out is in a few different ways. It's maybe like opening certain doors sometimes, or helping the brands walk through those doors sometimes, and just being someone that they can sort of bounce ideas off of. Because a lot of times, especially with Peter, he's sort of building this by himself. No, I mean he's got a team. Definitely, he's got a team that does a lot of stuff in the background, but sort of at the high level strategy side of things, it's hard to kind of run all that by yourself. And so being that sort of like second voice, especially from like a Web3 perspective, I think is helpful. And then let's see, I'm trying to figure out what else we do that I can share. I mean, I also forgot to say that I have a background in CPG, like consulting, working with a bunch of different CPG brands. So bringing some of that sort of knowledge and experience to bear when thinking about production or distribution or marketing, all of those things, right? And I would say marketing and sales and marketing is probably the most difficult piece of the puzzle for a lot of MBA brands that I'm seeing. I think people start with an idea and a product, and they produce it, and they have this great product, but now they've got to sort of bridge the gap between product and sales, and like getting it out there into the community at events, and then kind of as a little bit of marketing, and then how do you actually get it into sales, and start producing sales. And so that's kind of the toughest part. And I feel like if there's a nut to crack, that'd be it. You think about like the MBA program and what you guys trying to do with that. I would say that would be a great place to sort of start looking to help a bunch of MBA brands with that, right? And I think they've got the beginnings of that too. With a bodega and having like a centralized website so they can help with the DTC direct to consumer sales. But I've got a bunch of ideas of what they could do just because of the experience with working at the wonderful company where they basically have like an entire company dedicated to just sales and marketing for all of their products. So imagine you've got a portfolio of Fiji water, you've got wonderful pistachios and almonds, you've got citrus, you've got pomegranates, a bunch of products, a suite of products that are in a grocery store. But then you also have, like, as a layer on top of that, you have just a 300-person merchandising team, sales and merchandising team that goes all around the nation to all the grocery stores, all the mom and pop shops, the gas stations, the big retailers, the big boxes, and are negotiating deals at the local level, because this retail sales is such a ground game, and it's hard to do it with if you're just one company. So if you're able to kind of leverage the scale, and have multiple brands, or if you're able to sort of sell in and merchandise multiple brands, there's some scale advantages there. And I feel like if there was ever an idea to do it, I think something with like an MBA sales and merchandising team would be amazing. Because imagine you go in and you're selling board bagels, you're selling some tea, you're selling some water, you're selling some beer, and you're talking to the same sort of grocery manager. You can have all those conversations and really leverage the team there. And I think that would be super interesting. Anyways, just I'm rambling, but but those are just some of the ideas.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, Gene, you definitely are a thought leader in the space, and you know, have helped so many of us. So love to hear the ideas, and you know, I think I continue to draw inspiration from what you do, and kind of what your the value you're adding. Um, to that point, to circle a little bit back to Board Brewing Company. Um, you know, with so many flavors and customizing that, you know, I think how does that lend itself to maybe the marketing side and in even the complexity? Like, what challenges are there to kind of if it's a founding 50, I'm assuming like there's going to be 50 different products and flavors that you guys are producing to start.
Yeah, effectively, that's probably the biggest challenge because there's so many. That's basically 50 different conversations that you've got to have. And apes are opinionated. You know, they're very particular. Some more than others, right? So some you really have to sort of massage and work with and talk to, and you know, some that they want to bring their to bring their like design partners into the conversation. At times, some of them are more like, here's an idea, here's what I'm thinking, here's some colors, and then you can kind of go run with it. And luckily, our design team is incredible. And if you guys, you guys see the cans, they each kind of have their own, little personality, and it sort of depends on, the beers and the kombuchas kind of look the same, and then the seltzers have a completely different sort of design idea there. But they all look great, right? And so that's been an interesting part, but it's just, we're attacking these sort of one by one, so we don't have to do all 50 at the same time because we can't produce all 50 at the same time. So we just sort of take that slow and steady. I think another issue sometimes is apes sell their assets, right? That's always something to figure out. Luckily, we are in a spot where if someone sells it, we can kind of figure that piece out on the side while we work on the other, 49 in essence. But yeah, I think that's that's I don't think that's specific to Board Brewing. That's just like a Web3 thing, right?
Yeah,
Trying to deal
yeah.
with the IP.
But that's a huge consideration. I mean, I think from my understanding is you can use the IP and product for whatever you produced and kind of run that out.
Yeah.
But it is definitely something I think, whether it's on chain, whether it's in traditional contracts, how does that clarification work? And I think even outside of selling assets, if someone gets hacked or something,
Sure.
like there's definitely a lot of things to consider. But yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah. No, that's right. Sorry. Go ahead, Popple.
no, I just like so excited seeing, sorry, I just so excited seeing your journey. It's kind of like jumping different position, but at the same time, like really using your own skill and network. Because for me, you're just like a big brother for everyone, and you're not just having space. You also like where we have focus on the branding, but where we try to engage IP brand into the different area. I would say like, and yeah, I do have a question about the funding and the VC and also the AIP part, because I know lately Board have been reaching a lot the C1. I don't know. I don't even know how many C1 you guys are going to now. And will you mind to share about the strategy about the branding, how to get funding? But also I could like you to share about congratulations about the AIP just passed, and how's that strategy in the behind?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things in there, right? There's a funding question, and AIP is sort of related to it, right? I guess the AIP piece is, as you know, it's not necessarily like build a great product for apes and you'll get voted in, because there's so many holders of ApeCoin, right? Especially if you've got the big delegations. And I think because of that, it's become it's easy and it's difficult, right? Because with the big delegations, it sort of simplifies the game in a sense where you only have to focus on those delegations, because they hold the big pools of ApeCoin votes. But it also makes it difficult because you've got to, get in front of them and talk to them and sort of play that whole side of the game, right? With politics, and sort of walk them through the idea and how it might be good for them and their communities and whatnot to really garner those votes. But that was the strategy for the AIP. It was our third time, so third time's a charm, going through the AIP process. But it was the way we had attacked it was pretty strategic from the very beginning. So we knew we almost had a map of like where all the ApeCoin was and who held it, and so we could be more strategic about how to apply our energy, because we couldn't just shotgun everything and go in every space and talk to every person and go in every DM. We had to be like very strategic about it. And so, it was almost like, I would kind of equate it to like a political race, like a presidency or something, where you've got like all the states, but then within the states, you've got the little towns, and you've got to be strategic about which town you need to win and blah, blah, blah. And it was very much like, it felt like that in a lot of ways. And so that was the strategy there. Just kind of thinking about it methodically, and of course, with Peter involved, that's kind of his style too. So, and then funding in general, yeah, I mean, obviously, we've got a deck, and we make connections with we've made some connections with some Web3 VCs, and so we're looking at that. But I think there's a couple of interesting opportunities that are coming up. And actually, we talked about this earlier on the space today, which was the board meeting. And Garga, or I think it was Jeff, that dropped the news about ThankApe, that, and you guys know the ThankApe and where they came from, right? From an AIP. But they are, they released their sort of funding deployments in different seasons. And I guess one of the upcoming seasons is around MBAs and supporting MBAs. And then I think it's either the same season or the next one where they're trying to support MBAs going to Lisbon. And so it's like, hey, there's a potential funding source right there, especially if you're a product trying to get to Lisbon. And I'm sure all the MBAs are trying to do something around those lines. So that would be an important account to have followed and notifications on, I guess at some point pretty soon, because if Jeff is dropping that in the board meeting, it's pretty close. So
that's the reason you need to join the board meeting, because it's just so much going on.
Yeah, a lot of alpha.
Always a lot to unpack, and this is amazing. Thank you for jumping in and expanding what you're really doing up under the hood. Do you want to share a little bit about what the vision looks like? Like, where do you see yourself? Like, what is the vision 6 months, 1 year, 5 years from now?
Oh, for the brand, yeah, I mean that's more of a Peter question, but
Peter left, so you can break the NDA. Right?
Yeah,
is that how that works?
That's how it works, right? Well, we're the
Peter
plan.
Was like, I'm watching. Be careful.
I see you.
Yeah, my texts are blowing up. No, but
whatever you can share, whatever you're comfortable with.
Definitely. I mean, I think the plan for this year is to definitely melt some faces. We've got some, let's just say we've got some collabs that we're working on that I think will go over well with the community. And I think the next big thing for us, obviously we want to get the next few seltzers out there. I mean, not seltzers, but drinks out there, and get more apes on cans. But really working on our distribution strategy. So getting out into direct to consumer, which is live now. Everyone can go to boardbrewing.xyz right now today and buy seltzers and maybe not kombuchas, but definitely the seltzers and maybe some beer, and definitely some merch. So everyone can do that now today. And so the strategy would be just kind of building that up a bit more, maybe doing some paid search around there, getting affiliate links live and on other websites, and then also figuring out our retail strategy as well. So talking to restaurant groups and different retailers to sort of get more exposure and distribution that way.
Love it.
Yeah, I would say that's sort of like the next 6 to 12 months of work ahead of us.
You have a lot. You have a lot coming through. It's amazing. And if I can just touch on one more question, what advice would you give to others that are in this space? Like what are some resources or some tips that you can give for folks that are navigating this? Because it is an interesting world with regulation and et cetera. But if there's a nugget that you can pull out for others that are following your steps into the shadows, what would you share to them?
Yeah, I would say don't do beverages because it's hard. No, I'm kidding. I'm like half kidding, but I would say don't do it alone. It's hard doing it alone. Definitely tap into BoredIn, our little sort of MBA community. That Popple and Jason have so valiantly developed and cultivated. There's a lot of people in there with a lot of experience that are doing the same thing. Like I'm in there, Peter's in there, we're all in there, and there are some things to be gained from talking to other people and seeing what their struggles are and kind of learning from them. There's a lot of people doing similar things because the group is so big. There's almost 400 plus now MBAs. So chances are you're going to be doing something similar and someone's has run into the same issue. Just for example, Hong Kong, like we had issues trying to get stuff to Hong Kong, but like Jason was the man. Like he literally printed out like a DHL like packing slip for me. Like he went that far in his help of others, right? It wasn't just go log onto this website, like click this tab. No, he straight printed me my shipping labels and emailed them to me, and all I had to do was slap it on the thing and get it to the store. And it's just the help is unreal, and it's built by Popple and Jason here that are sort of building that culture, and they make it sort of cool to help, right? And so it makes you want to help and pay it forward as well. And so it's been a great resource and community for me, sub community for me personally. So
yeah, and thank you, Gene. I think we like I said before, we get so much value from you too, and what you provide to not only me but the whole BoredIn community. So right back at you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and since we mentioned Jason's name, Jason's also today, like the other guests, like you're the host, but you're also our guest here. So we could love to invite him to introduce his boy IP. Maybe I think Jim already mentioned about a lot of things he does, but actually he did much more than that. And I think Jason, you will be I think you would be love to share some of the stuff and then also some of the inside strategy with everyone. And I think the first question will be about like how many people is inside your team and what's your team strategy to grow the boy IP.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been an interesting journey, and similar to kind of in paralleling Peter's journey too, is like it's developed and continues to evolve, right? And we started prior to MBA. I think a little under 2 years ago with kind of doing a meetup, and just similar to Peter, like meeting people that just were really cool people that wanted to use their IP, and just wanting to enable that, right? And kind of really thinking through how I could do that, and having, it's kind of like my three different lives kind of converged, right? Is, similar to Gene, I have some experience more from the ops side, but CPG and e-commerce, with Amazon, Walmart, Target, HelloFresh, and then my DGen kind of NFT flipping at first, but then jumping into IP, and then I have a hospitality group, which is who I'm working with, as how do we carve this out? How do we evolve it? And these guys are also very focused, boots on the ground, and growing the hospitality group. We have 7 different concepts in 15 locations, and that's probably slated to double in the next year. 7 of them actually being bagel shops, but a lot of diversity there, right? Japanese, Italian, Mexican, a ramen shop, American kind of brew bar. So I think that's where it's kind of intersecting in, hey, let's look at bagels, let's look at cream cheeses, and similar to Peter and these guys, we first started kind of putting out a survey, having people interested in participating fill that out, and we kind of try to match color, taste profile, things that people would enjoy themselves, to the cream cheese. And as we build that out, with kind of the support and response from the community, just continue to look at those options of how we can layer in, proven products with this IP layer. And it allowed us to do some fun things that, I'll be honest, like never really thought I'd be doing. Inclusive of creating an animation and doing some mini games within Instagram and TikTok, and things of that nature. And just like Peter mentioned, of like seeing people in real life experience the product and might not be aware of what the IP is, but it's not going to stop them from enjoying it. Who knows, maybe it takes that for us to kind of continue to introduce people and propel the brand further, right? People seeing it, seeing an ape on a seltzer, seeing then it as a cream cheese or cookies, or the 400 plus MBAs that now exist. I think there's really something powerful to that. But circling back to the original question, it takes a team, and that's what I think I've been afforded, and also what BoredIn is there for, right? Maybe BoredIn isn't your direct team, but apes building together, and that's what have found very different in building in this space versus any other space.
Hey, Jason, is the Bored Bagel stuff, is it actually a storefront, or is it direct to consumer only, or like what's the situation?
So the branding, so I'd like to think about it this way. We have 7 bagel shops. The in real life bagel shop is Bagels & Co., and that came before Bored Bagels. And Bored Bagels was kind of the first test and pilot of, hey, what if we innovate with IP, and create a CPG brand that can be shipped domestically? Because most of our in real life venues, whether it's the bagel shop or restaurants, you're really tackling a kind of like radius of 2 to 3 miles of who your guests are. So how does that extend out, right? And this is where, like, the real vision here is, how do we help create this model to propagate this with other people? And COVID was a really tough time for the restaurant business. And we were fortunate to pivot from nightlife to like grab and go type of hospitality and restaurants and dining. And kind of we survived through it, right? We had a nightclub that had to shut down entirely. And the bagels was what helped us keep the group going, and really has been the kind of biggest growth concept that we've had, to even now having a couple shops in Florida. And I think there is a vision of how do we roll that out nationally as in real life. But the consumer side, yeah, we can ship direct to customers nationally, but how do we also propagate the brand to and elevate the brand to then be in the grocery shop, be in Costco and all these different things? And that model, how does it kind of propel itself within Board IP being the parent company and all these sub brands, sub products being part of Board IP once we have this model cracked? Right now, I think, to kind of what you were saying, Gene, is, we have direct to consumer, but how do we continue to grow it as a kind of small boutique player? And I think there's a lot of consumer brands that are seeing that success there, and we're also trying to lean into that meta. We have a leg up because I do have this in real life hospitality group that's also growing. So like Board Spice is a sub brand that can be grown out a lot more, but the hot chili oil is in our ramen shop, right? And people enjoying the ramen can then get exposure to the brand and discover it that way, right? Bored and Tipsy, is in my 5 restaurants, as a canned alcohol product, right? And then Board Snack Cookies is a cookie brand that we're gonna release as a Web3 native brand, but then have that go into the in real life bagel shops as expansion of products and something that can fit in the kind of same footprints, and be complementary to the existing in real life model. So I think that's how we're thinking of it. And obviously, like in the future, just like BoredIn, how do we help the mom and pop shops? How do we help MBA maybe be a distribution point for these brands, right? Maybe be, could I imagine like the footprint? And this is kind of tying back to my professional background is, you only need a certain number of stores strategically in the country to hit a high population of the U.S., right? And if we can facilitate that through the network or the synergy and kind of the scale of apes, then all the better, right? I think it's already starting to develop where, kind of have identified some players in LA, in Miami. I'm in the Northeast, and right there, you're probably already tackling close to 60% of the population to be able to ship it in a 1 to 2 day footprint at a very kind of economical ground price. But not to mention, like, hey, the existing customers in real life that is going through these venues, my bagel shops, we do 10,000 bagels a week, right? So we have thousands of customers that come through. Board Bagels is a small part of that, but can Board IP leverage that economy and create Web3 native brands? That's what Board IP is doing, right? And at the same time, how do we curate things and uplift and help the broader ecosystem? I think that's the goal.
And you named, sorry, I was going to ask you named like I don't know, five or 10 different products there. Like,
yeah,
you got the bagels, you got the drinks, you've got hot sauce, you've got chili oil. Like, how do you spread your time across developing all those different things? Because developing just one is hard, right?
yeah. I mean, I think it's our thought process is, hey, prove out our diversity, our flexibility, our ability to do this across not one just category. and we're able to do that in a similar fashion, because just like what we're doing with the restaurants, we're finding the right people and the right product to back it, right? And we're leveraging infrastructure that we also have with the hospitality group, since I have three kind of executive chefs of the hospitality group, and they have their expertise, their recipes. One of the chefs also, like, for example, I'm working with him because he has a patent around shelf stable vegan gummies, right? So as these things develop in real life, and kind of tapping in the network in kind of the vertical around my hospitality group, we're finding these opportunities in kind of growing out products. And I think, to your point, like, we're not super deep in these other brands yet, right? We just want to show the capability. Our plan is to get much, much deeper, right? We're standing up a commissary. That commissary will serve the hospitality group, but it'll also serve CPG. And there is a thought in my mind, is how do we enable this commissary to also help other products in which we're enabled to produce be produced out of there, to be a fulfillment and distribution point as well, right? So I think it definitely is a challenge, but I think the strategy is, hey, we've kind of proven that capability. We've proven our ability to develop different categories, and for us, it's a little bit more lightweight because we can funnel that through our existing stores. And we're not having to also do 10,000, 50,000 product runs or label runs. I think that will come, right, as we scale it, as we scale further in volume, as we scale to distributors and things of that nature. So we've kept it pretty lightweight. That's allowed us the flexibility and not having to overinvest into packaging and labels and things of that nature. But I think we're turning that corner, and hopefully people will start to see, like, that launch pad that we're kind of now at, where we can scale this.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I could like to ask you, like, how do you grow your Web2 and the Web3 customers? Because it's like BoredIn's IP was very Web3's image, and how you grow your Web2's customers, and any strategy you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I think the community is really supportive, right? I think if you are inclusive of people, they are supportive. If you enable, empower people's IP on products, they become almost ambassadors for you. But I would say one of the things that I think in the space, as we further grow, is the Web3 product really needs to be competitive, not just in Web3. And it just depends on your goal, right? If your goal is to scale it and make this a business, I would say that's some of the advice I'd have, is to think about, maybe not today in this instance, but like how you do scale it to be something that can compete from a quality, from a demand, from a price, more than just Web3, right? And I think for me, it's how do I leverage these verticals? How do I find economies of scale? And touching back to what Gene was saying, I do think whether it's BAYC or Yuga becoming an agency almost for NBA brands, I would say, like, that's also part of the thought around Bored Trading Co. Is how can that go and showcase NBA brands at trade shows, at events, at conferences, and not to hopefully spill too much, but like, we are talking with other people that share that vision. I think there's been, obviously, even to the point now, like, we wouldn't have gotten here with Bored Trading Co. if not for people like Jean helping contribute, Marav with her art, and just even people helping me move the stuff in NFT NYC as I tried to get from event to event. But that's the synergy and economy of scale that I think needs to happen for us to break through in a real way. Imagine going to the biggest food and beverage trade shows, and maybe you as a single brand and product are not going to be able to do that, but collectively, even with kind of who we have already building, could you go and do that? And is that much more impactful when you see all these different brands and products together? I think so. And that's even what I felt when we were in New York, right? I think it seemed to really resonate, and people really saw the kind of power between not just one product, but all of these things together.
Jason, I just have to give you your flowers because I wasn't in New York, but I heard from Gucci'da that you did an amazing job setting it up at different places. And I thought that was such an awesome ambience to have that trickle back. Like, you're a role model for the community and everything that you're doing. So I know it doesn't go unsaid that there is a lot of logistics and hard work, but you whipped it up together. You pulled it out. You did a great job. Can you share us with some of those challenges that you face when you're setting up for different events, and like what can you recommend as some advice that you'd give to others that want to be able to showcase themselves as you are doing with the Bored Trading Company?
Yeah, no, and thank you so much. And I think it's just leaning in with what I can add value with, right? And I ran I was the head of logistics for Bloomberg until recently, and my team supported trade shows and conferences. I mean, an unbelievable amount globally, right? So I think that's kind of where the idea started from, but I think sometimes it's rolling up your sleeves and getting it done, and just leaning in with the community, right? I think it starts with an idea, but then how do you turn that into execution? And it wasn't perfect, nor did I think it would be, and I think to the question is, there definitely were learnings from just small things like the physical movement of the products. The banner could have been smaller and even more portable. A hand truck would have helped me greatly in kind of moving shelves and different merchandise and things of that nature. I'm still on the fence of whether like driving into Manhattan was a smart idea or a bad idea. But at the same time, like I couldn't imagine like calling an Uber and trying to move stuff,
Right.
And shout out to Bored Brewing, right? They helped sponsor our Bored Brunch, and I think similarly, like there's a lot of logistics and hey, where to ship things, where to pick it up, how to move it, the venue, and coordinating things of that nature. So but people showed up, right? Whether it's people enjoying and kind of taking away what that looked like, or like me being stranded on a corner because I just couldn't move the shelving and banner together, and me texting forever or calling showbiz to be like, dude, like I need some help getting this to my car, and I'm just showing up. So like even like I was late, probably like an hour and a half to the clubhouse coming from not NFT NYC, and when I got there, like I think like 5 different apes came and helped me unload, right? Like NFT Prince, Forever Showbiz, and I think I'm forgetting a couple more people, but it was the community pitching in, right? And that's my, similar to Gene, like that's my biggest advice is tap in, right? The in real life opportunity to meet up might not always present itself, and when it does, like I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. But even like on X, right? Like tap in, whether it's BoredIn or another group chat, I think the relationships you build are really gonna define kind of the value you get from the space, and you get what you put in.
Well said. Absolutely. You did a great job. All the pictures. I have so much FOMO. I wish I could have been there. I would have bought the whole lot.
Yeah, and I mean, that being said, like we weren't even looking to transact, right? I think there's some complexity that we're actually looking into, but like, some people were able to sell some of their stuff, right? And I think that's the bridge, right? But I think circling back a little bit is, Board IP right now, it's our brands that we're propagating through our hospitality group, but also looking to scale that to, we already shipping, but like scale that to grocery stores and other things of that nature. But the model is to then hopefully scale to and other MBA brands or other projects, mom and pop shops, things of that nature. Just because I think we lived that struggle through COVID, right? And with my background, how do we create more resiliency? How do we scale outside of that 2 to 3 mile radius in which like there's some fantastic brands and products that probably all of us grew up with that live within your neighborhoods that just don't exist or have no ability to exist to the broader customer base.
Thank you, Jason. You're making me hungry with all of this talk.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, check both of them, the website and a lot of the amazing products, the Make by products now you're actually able to order. And so congratulations to both of you. So since Peter's was bad, and I think James and Peter will want to share something exciting news as well.
Yeah, Peter, you want to?
Yeah, do we do it now? Do we tell
Do
people?
it.
I haven't.
On the show. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's go.
So we were gonna open it anyways, but part of our AIP deliverable actually is opening an IRL tap room and clubhouse, as we're calling it. So the Bored Brewing tap room and clubhouse. I like the sound of that. It's good. We're doing a soft launch ahead of time, but we'll do a grand opening, and we landed on the date, and Gene came up with a good name. So the first inaugural, did I say that right? Yeah, first inaugural Brew Fest is going to be June 21st. And that'll be our grand opening of the Bored Brewing Tap Room and Clubhouse. It's in Canada, Alberta, in Calgary. And so super excited. We've got a south-facing patio that is in the sun all day, and we've got construction to my left here that is going day and night, and just really exciting. There's a sneak peek over my shoulder here. The winner of the huge neon sign that is behind me that is going in, we did a contest for a neon sign that we bought to put in the tap room. We've got a bunch of cool things going in, and so yeah. But for this especially, we're doing. We have to think of a name for it, but we're doing a big wall of Made by Apes products, like cute, like it's a feature wall in this space. And so we've designed it. We know how we're building it. It's got a beer fridge in the middle, but then everything else is Made by Apes products. And some of maybe our merch, but really excited because I think we can get a lot of normie traffic to cool brands and products. And I want to, anything that we can't push through to a website that can ship to Canada, I would then we're going to try and buy, I've already told CO I need an order of a certain amount of chocolate bars that we have ready for people to buy until you get shipping to Canada set up. And so we'll hold inventory and we'll sell NBA products. And so we're going to onboard those normies and get them all excited. And I've seen the products. Like, we were in Hong Kong, and that bodega, I was like, the bicycle cards are cool. The wine was awesome. Everything that was there, the plushies, everything that was on the wall was good. And we got to sample all the products in the window. And I'm just so excited because no one will have seen anything like it. And it's not just IP slapped on products. It's really cool products. Like, we got to get some teas in there. We've got to get just everything we can.
Bagels?
I don't know how we do the bagels, but let's figure that out. And I know everyone who, if they have a perishable product, they probably also have merch. And so I'm just so excited to fill that wall with things. And I think it's going to take like 5 minutes to do it. And then we'll be like, where do we put the rest of the stuff? Because there's so many amazing brands in the space doing good things. And so, yeah, and then we also want to do a wall, and Gina and I are trying to figure it out, where Rax for his coffee shop, he had, I think he was on Twitter, he's like, send 10 ape coin and I'll put your ape on a wall. I want to figure out a way to have people who are interested in having their presence there, outside of like the massive sign we gave away, to be a part of it as well. So Made by Apes brands as a part of it's not our bodega, we'll use a different name, but that's part of our concept. And then, and like Claude's barbecue sauces and his grilling tongs, like we'll just have so many cool things. And I also want to figure out a way to have people's apes and mutants incorporated into the design of the space too. So that's the goal. June 21st,
Love it.
fly to Calgary, or just join us virtually. But if you're in Canada, or if you're, LA is a quick flight. Gene's going to come out, all that kind of stuff. So we're excited.
Yeah, and I think what I love the most is the NBA wall, because it's so, it's about the community, and it's so ape to like bring in all the other apes building their stuff, because that's where we come from too, right? As a fellow NBA brand. And so really excited about that. And then I love the idea of being able to sell their products too, because I feel like that was sort of one of the biggest pieces of feedback coming out of Hong Kong and the bodega, or the bodega, was actually being able to sell it, as opposed to just looking at it and maybe trying a couple, but having some inventory on hand to actually be able to sell, which is great. And so I love that, we're thinking of doing that. And then Peter, I guess the other thing you can talk to, but like the location where the brewery is situated is in this like beautiful town with a bunch of other breweries, and there's activities that you can go do, especially during the day on a bike and go around pedal pubbing, right? And it's just I love that that's part of the heritage of the brand, like being born of like out of this brewery town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so we're like 5 minutes from downtown Calgary, so a large city, major city, but we're in this weird triangle of railroad and stuff, and so it feels like you're in a small town. And I know every business owner on the street, and it's a very trendy, hip, cool place. They just put a mural up across the street that's music related. It's called Music Mile, the mile strip that we're on. And there's a ton of amazing little places around there. So and we do have these things called pedal pubs, which you've probably seen a bunch of people on they're all pedaling and drinking. And they drive by every like 30 minutes in front of the patio, and everyone's blaring music and having a good time. And so we'll probably set up a few pedal pubs for people who come in. And it's called Gopher Park. There's a little basketball court just half a block away. So we can do maybe some of that, basketball that everyone's hyping up at all the events. And like, we can just do a ton of fun stuff. And it is a beautiful little community right in the heart of downtown Calgary that's got no skyscrapers, and it's just old heritage buildings and murals and funky things. So we're going to open it soon, way too soon, way too fast, but we're building and we're going to do, we may or may not have something very humorous a month or two later in our space.
You would share again. I mean, like, don't worry that if you have things you want to share again, and
I want to share everything, but I shouldn't. Anyways, so we're doing lots of fun stuff.
yeah, I'm very excited for everything for you guys did, and I just can't wait to book my flight to go celebrate with everyone. And
Yeah,
I think that's the next step.
yeah,
That's why.
come hang.
Yeah, that's why I tell Blue and Jason, like, we should stop doing live space. We should just fly there, and that's it. Yeah.
On-site spaces.
Okay. And I think Blue still have one question for Jason, right?
Yeah, this came in from the community on one of the tweets. Jason, they like to ask, what's your biggest distribution obstacle, and how have you encountered that with selling your physical products?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably what Gene was referring to with beverages. I mean, that side, it's probably the weight. For me, it's like my perishable stuff, right? It's, you know, some of it's temperature sensitive. So, you know, when I was at HelloFresh, like I dealt with it by exploring like how to predict the packaging and adjust like ice ice size and packaging insulation, stuff like that. And similarly, how we then apply that to like shipping cream cheese, right? So you know, how does that packaging profile change between winter and summer? Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, and that's a challenge. I think, you know, I know talking with CO, like chocolate's very sensitive also, but those are things to kind of think through as you do product developments. And you know, also why we started leaning into some other stuff like bagel chips, right? Like bagel chips, much less time and kind of like the shelf life and perishability look very different. And you know, as we expand our products, that's a consideration. But localized distribution points and things like what Peter is going to do would absolutely help, right? Allowing kind of like a local distribution point. You know, Board Cuban, I think, has some of it, and we've talked to him about, you know, how do we incorporate our product there. You know, and I think there's a future there as well. Wholesale, how we leverage distribution and point of sale and create a wholesale program within NBA, I think is maybe a future iteration that, you know, MBAs need to think about, right? If we do have a channel, can I buy product and sell it through my shops? You know, like, you know, just being on here, it's like, you know, I've got 5 restaurants, right? Why don't they carry you know, Board Brewing seltzer, right? You know, even the bagel shops with Gene, like, you know, I've got 7 bagel shops. Why don't they have ape water, right? These are this is already the network in which like we should be doing and thinking about that. So it's great. Like, I'm clearly not the only one thinking about it. Peter is, you know, Board Cuban, and you know, as you kind of start to look at it, I think even like Apewell has some fulfillment in real life capability. So how do we grow that? But distribution is something we need to think about even more, because that's I think a game changer.
Absolutely. We are closing down pretty soon, team. Let's go.
Let's go on to share the final thought.
Blue cut out. Who wants to go first?
I can kick it off. I mean, just appreciate everyone. I think Blue Eye Ice Cream, Popple, thanks for hosting. Peter and Gene, you know, pleasure meeting you in real life, Peter. And Gene, I think we've yet to, even though like we've interacted a lot, we've yet to meet in real life. So that's long overdue. And just appreciate everyone viewing as well. I think, you know, it sounds like we share a very parallel path, you know, Board IP and what I'm doing with what Peter and these guys are doing. Love what they're doing, drawing lots of inspiration, but I think let's continue to push forward together, and love to see it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll just say again, thanks for having us. Thanks for hosting. I know there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to get the show and the community kind of humming and going. So especially being a guest, you can I get to see all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and I know there's a lot. So thank you guys for doing what you do. And I'd say just get, in terms of advice or last words, I would say just get involved with the community, like you mentioned earlier. Get in the chats, get in discords, get in DMs, get on the timeline, meet people, develop those relationships, because they'll be important. You may need them, or you might be able to help someone out as well, and I feel like that's just as fulfilling sometimes, right? IRL is undefeated, so if you can get out there and develop those relationships on a deeper level, IRL, like, that's always my recommendation. Speaking of that, come to Calgary, June 21st. Peter, we're now saying this publicly, so it's like we're speaking it into existence. We have to do it now. So yeah, Calgary, June 21st. I can't wait. I'm trying to figure out if I can bring the family out, if it makes sense, and because I think it'll be a good time. Hopefully the weather's good, and we'll be just kind of having fun. And also the other thought I had that came up was, it's 2024, April 24th, 2024, and we started working on this stuff, a while back, like during the bear, and it was a lot of work when things were quiet, and I feel like things are now sort of like heating up, and I'd say, like, building in that bear was so worth it, because I feel like we're about to start reaping the gains, reaping some of the gains of all that work, and there's still more there's still more to be revealed, but I feel like we're now just getting ready to start, like, being rewarded with after all the hard work. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on and say, if we would love to carry any MBA brands stuff, so please reach out to us. Gene put a form together that we can fill out. If you're trying to convince yourself or a significant other to come to Calgary, Alberta, just Google Banff. It's like the nicest place in the entire world. I think it's probably top 3 on everyone's list to go to once in their lifetime. So Google it and you'll be like, okay, we're going to go. That's usually my selling point. We did an NFT gathering actually in Banff during the last bull run, and that was the reason people flew from around the world to come, was like, okay, it's in Banff, it's beautiful. So come to our grand opening, our kickoff, our brew fest, but also plan a day or two in Banff because it's magical. And just IRL is good. If you can be friendly in DMs and you can't do IRL, go for that. If you're tall, intimidating, and have a resting bitchy face like I do, just bring someone like Gene on the team that everybody loves. That's my life hack, is that so that's, I would say, those are my 3 tips, and thank you very much for hosting and having us on here. It's wonderful what you guys are doing. Jason, thank you for driving me through New York to drop some seltzers off at an event, and like going out of your way and just showing what type of human you are. And Popple, you are amazing as always. And Blue Ice Cream, nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. This has been very fun. Appreciate it.
Hey, just speaking of in real life, a little bit less related to apes, but one of my venues is hosting Tim Ferriss tomorrow. So if anybody's in Philadelphia, he's kicking off his 10-year podcast celebration and tour in Philadelphia at one of my venues. So I think space is limited, but there's still space, and would love to see anybody who wants to come by. So
is he doing anything with the Cockfighter NFTs that he released? Because I own some
I
of those
don't know. I know that's a little,
what's going on.
yeah. I can't say I'm that close to it. I think Barman, who's the founder of NFT Philly, helped connect and host that events. I'm not sure. I think it's more related to his podcasts. But but I think a lot of people have that similar question that I'm starting to kind of gather, at least. Yeah. So, but yeah, just something that's happening in real life. In Philadelphia, if anybody's around, happy to answer whatever questions I can about it. But it is tomorrow, so I think there's maybe 10 spots left. But yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. And so my final thought is it's been grateful to having space with everyone, but I also want to share like it's been like so stressful to finding the guests because it's like I feel like wow, we have been interviewed so many MBAs already. So if you're new to this space and or if you want to be join our space, always shoot me a DM and never share about to ask the question as well. We could love to see more news MBA brand and share your story as well. So next week we do have a other live space, but more focused upon the artists. And me and Blue Queen, we decide to also want to encouraging more creatives going inside the BAYC committee as well. But also it's kind of like creating the ecosystem about how we can also contributing in coaching like people using inside BAYC artisan corporation in the merchandising products, and that'll be awesome. And yeah, very looking forward to see all of you, and I'm sure we will chat very soon. And always welcome back to the space. And that's it.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
I'll do
And-
quickly my final thought. I'll just go piggyback off of what Popple says. Like next week we have our artist space. I'm really excited to talk more creatively and visions, but just want to give flowers to this spaces each week. Like every time I'm always learning about what the community members are doing. And when you're behind the hood at Yuga and you get to be able to communicate with the members directly, like to me this is like an honor to be here. So thanks so much for always allowing me to be on mic as a speaker. And if there's any questions that anybody has, to facilitate, like I do my best in our group chats, but I just love to be able to be on the horn and getting to know everyone, because there's so much that you do behind the scenes, from logistics, from the Uber drives, from the community team to get the products on. And it's just amazing and magical, and everybody has a story. And I just love being able to touch that and learn more about you. So hats off. Thanks for having me. And I can't wait for next week to talk about the art world. Happy Wednesday, fam.
Awesome. And bye. See you guys next week. Bye bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye. See ya.
Thank you.